Good evening and welcome to the City of Costa Mesa Arts Commission meeting for Thursday, December 1st. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. Commissioner Ochoa, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. All right, Tatia, would you please take the roll?
Commissioner Lucia? Present. Commissioner Mann? Present. Commissioner Ochoa? Present. Commissioner Zuckerman?
Present.
Vice Chair Wondercheck? Present. Chair Ashendorf?
Present. Thank you very much. The next order of business is public comment. Now is the time for public to address the commission on items not on the agenda for this evening. Is there anyone on Zoom this evening to address the commission?
There are no members on Zoom.
Thank you very much. Then we will close public comment. The next item on the agenda is comments from commissioners. So let us start with Vice Chair Wondercheck. Any comments?
No comments at this point. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Ochoa.
Hi, I was just reflecting on the comments that were made from a member of the public on Zoom last week regarding the bus shelters, and just talking to Commissioner Mann about New York reminded me of these wonderful moments in public transit where I was exposed to not only art, visual art, but poetry as well. I believe the program is called Poetry in Motion, and that might be a wonderful thing to look into. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Zuckerman.
Thank you. I was thinking about a story that a staff member of mine at the Orange County Museum of Art shared with me about a kid who was looking at art in the museum. And the very first work that we installed there is a work by an artist named Joan Brown, and it has two figures. It's an outline, and they're very open in terms of the interpretation. There's a blank head, there's no hair color, there's no hair length, there's, it's very open. And a kid was pointing at the work, and I've been saying, like, you can put yourself in the piece, anyone can find themselves there. And then the kid pointed to a sculpture and said, that's where the people went. And, there's this idea of, like, who was there before, who's coming next, what is the legacy? And I was thinking about the opportunity that we have with the Arts Commission to have these long-term legacy impacts on the next generation. And so I'm just grateful for that opportunity.
Thank you for sharing. Commissioner Lucia. No comments? Yes. All right. Commissioner Mann?
Hi. Happy holidays. I didn't have a comment, but then I was talking to a few of you before the meeting, and not before the meeting, like right, I don't want to Brown Act anything. I was just, we were talking about somebody's vacation, and it got me thinking about theater. And one of my main purposes for wanting to be on this commission was because I really want to further performing arts and theater and make smaller theaters, or somehow figure out how to have that more accessible to people in our city. I just find it intimate and wonderful, and it brings out so much in everybody. And I love our big theaters that we have. I know we have some small theaters here in Costa Mesa, but I really would love to see if there's anything going on or any other any opportunities for making spaces, even if they're not necessarily for theater, but any spaces, black box spaces, that could be galleries, that could be for poetry readings, that could be venues for whatever. I don't know if we have in line anything like that we're planning on making or offering or finding to do that, and I was curious about that. And I guess that would be it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just a few announcements to share with the community and with the commissioners, and our role is, part of our role is to be represented in the community and all of the arts that are available to us. To that end, OCC's Drama Laboratory has the Christmas Carol Ghost Story starting tomorrow through Sunday. And Location 1980, if you haven't been there, it's a gallery on Placentia at 1980. They are having an art opening all day from 10 to 10, and they will be selling their art that day as well. And another gallery with some good things going on in Costa Mesa is the Living Room Salon Art Gallery at 125 Rochester. They're having a champagne artist reception opening on December 18th. So perhaps I can make sure that that information gets to Ms. Garner, and she can share that with the commissioners. And I'd also like to acknowledge that Ms. Garner and I attended the Newport Mesa Unified School District Arts Commission meeting last month, and there were over 30-some representatives at that meeting. We had stakeholders from the community, staff members, art teachers, and we're looking for more ways at how we can participate and collaborate with our youth and the school district. So more on that to come in the future. With that, the next item of business on the agenda.
Excuse me, Chair.
I'm sorry.
Vice Chair, do you have any public comments?
I do.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss you today?
No, that's fine. It's actually going to be at the Segerstrom Center of the Arts. They're doing music or arts around the world on December 10th. And it's Saturday. It will be an event open to the public. I believe it's free to the public. There will be different age groups that will be performing on that day. I believe it starts at 10 a.m. and will be ending around 5 p.m. Don't quote me, but it is happening on December 10th. So I just wanted to make sure everyone knew about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Apologize for that, Vice Chair. All right. On to old business. The approval of the minutes of November 3rd. Are there corrections to the minutes?
If I may just make a couple comments, because this is the Arts Commission's first official minutes. These are not necessarily word-for-word transcripts minutes. They're meant to be action minutes, as we haven't taken a lot of actions. So we're not looking, in the future that it's word for word or dictation. It's just to make sure that the idea was captured. As commissioners, if you do feel like something was misrepresented or maybe it didn't completely capture your thought, you're welcome at this time to make those suggestions for changes that can be put into the record and approved by the commission as an amendment or an adjustment to the minutes. If you're not here for a meeting, you can still vote on the minutes. You don't have to be present in order to vote on future minutes. But yes, this is your first official. If you have any questions about the minutes or the approval process, please share with staff.
Thank you, Director Mincher. Yes, Commissioner.
I just have one correction to the introduction that I made of myself. In the last sentence where it says that has made it her mission to make artists' lives better, that it's not just artists. So if it could read that the mission is to I'm not exactly sure how it ended up like that, but the mission is to utilize art to make lives better rather than artists' lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or corrections at this time of the minutes?
So what we would need is a motion to approve the minutes with the amendment that was requested by Commissioner Zuckerman.
I make a motion to approve the minutes with the addendum,
Second.
With the amendment.
with the amendment.
Okay, thank you.
All right, then. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Just give me 1 second so I can transfer that
She will lock it
information
in
for
so
you.
you can approve that electronically. I appreciate the ayes, though.
Yeah.
And there you go.
No, yeah, there's something on my screen.
Someone with sticky fingers.
We'll go ahead and change that in the minutes when we review it for the next meeting. Just to confirm, the motion does carry 6-0 with the adjustment on Commissioner Heidi Zuckerman's introduction of changing the ending sentence to making her goal mission is to utilize art to make an artist's life better. To make life better. For everyone.
All right, thank you. We're all learning together. Thank you very much. But this time we jumped the gun on you. Okay. All right, the next item on the agenda tonight is the new business, and that's the Arts and Culture Master Plan. Ms. Garner.
I'm actually going to hand that to Jason Mentor.
It's going to be a joint presentation. It'll be brief. We have a few different slides that we're going to be sharing with you, but per the request of the commission, that we know what the heck is the budget for the Arts Commission, we put together a little packet for you. So you should have the budget or the commission report in front of you while they load up the presentation. All right, so there it is. If you read the report, if you've been paying attention to arts and arts-related matters.
If you select that on your dais presentation button on your top left, you'll be able to see the PowerPoint.
That's definitely easier than looking up at the monitor there, for sure. All right, so we'll kind of bounce back a little bit between the report and what's here, but we'll do the first slide. And this is a very overview-ish kind of look of what the city budget is about. So I'm not going to speak. I don't work for the finance department. I'm not going to try to infringe on what they do. Next slide. There's basically, these are 5 different major funding sources that we would have for our governmental programs. General fund is the most common, the most popular. That's money received from sales tax, property tax. All that gets put into a pot. The city can use that money for pretty much whatever the council approves. The next funding source for our department specifically, the Park Development Fund. So anytime there's residential developments, a portion of that money is set aside in fees that can go specifically towards parks and park-related projects. There are definitely limitations, contingencies on what you can use that for, but mostly it's new to park development, It's not necessarily maintenance related. It's for new projects, expansion of projects, things like that. There's a capital improvement fund. That's money that the city typically takes from the general fund to set aside in a specific CIP or capital improvement fund that will go to street projects, sidewalk projects, rebuilding fire stations, roofs on park buildings, whatever. So that's a capital improvement fund you'll hear something about. There's grant funds, obviously state, federal, private grant funds that can be used and applied to a variety of different projects or programs. And then special funds. And the reason I mentioned special funds is because that's basically what we're dealing with right now. So next slide. So the operating budget for the Arts and Culture Master Plan right now is funded by a special fund, which is a portion of the cannabis sales tax. And in the report, I mentioned of the total 7% cannabis tax rate, it says 1/4%. I think I did a typo. 0.5% is dedicated to the Arts and Culture Master Plan. So if anybody's been following the cannabis industry here in Costa Mesa, it's still a very new fund. We don't necessarily have a lot of cannabis retail happening, but as that fund continues to grow, it will continue to provide opportunities for the Arts Commission to implement things that are included in the master plan. You know, one of those primary things is the salaries of our art specialists. The funding that was what allowed us to have an arts commission. So, you know, the stipends for the commission, office supplies, things like that to help run the commission. And then there are specific programs that are approved by the council in the master plan, and Laurette's going to go into those in a little bit of detail later. But that's going to be provided. And then there's another special fund, which is not an actual operating budget fund. That is a Culture Arts Committee. It was not included in the packet because it's not something that the commission necessarily gets to do every year. It's a one-time funding source right now that was basically accumulated through the Arts Committee and revenues that were generated through some of the Arts Committee programs that we might continue through the Arts Commission, but at this point, we have a balance of roughly $46,000, but that's one time only. It's not refunded, or, you know, it's when that money gets spent, it's gone unless money is added to that pot. But those are two different types of special funds. Again, the operating budget are things that are approved on an annual basis. So the fiscal year for the city starts July 1st. We're gearing up right now with our budget meetings with the finance department. We will have one, I think, next week. The budget process includes both operating expenses and then the CIP. The CIP is if there are projects that the Arts Commission wants to see, typically the CIP manager, which is the Public Works Director, can do a presentation to the commission, and the commission can make their comments or recommendations as to things that they would like to see included in the CIP that would be presented to the city manager and then eventually to the city council. So the CIP is outside of the operating budget. The operating budget is every July 1st through June 30th. The monies we get to spend on all of the different programs that we have there. So we do have a limited budget at this time, and it is somewhat based on the amount of sales tax that's generated by our cannabis sales. The planning department or the planning commission has approved, I want to say between 20 and 30 different cannabis businesses, although they're not quite open and operating like they hoped they would be by now, but they will definitely catch up. So that's kind of a summary of some of the basic funds that help provide funding for our operating budget, a little bit about the CIP, and a little bit about the Culture Arts Committee Fund. And with that, I will turn it over to Laurette for how that deals with things in the master plan.
Thank you so much. So I have here a couple sheets from the Arts and Culture Master Plan that I've kind of decorated for all of you, so you can kind of get a sense of what was asked for in previous years. And this is very new since the Arts and Culture Master Plan was only approved in March of 2021. So a couple highlights here. I did take out the staff salary just to make it a little less confusing for those in totals on the second page, which I'll get to next. The budget will, I just want to let everyone know the budget will change from year to year based on what we asked for with the finance department. And some big asks for next year that I wanted to highlight were the showmobile for $150,000, which would be a one-time ask, and then also the $60,000 for the temporary sculpture garden that we would ask to get replenished year by year. So those are the two big items we're thinking, but as you can see for the next fiscal year, which will begin in July of this next year, so the 2023 and 24 year, we'll be asking for art venture funds, and I'm looking for an increase. Also, some gallery funds increase to help with maybe some programmatic aspects that will go along with some of our exhibit spaces in facilities that we have currently. Action Arts, which was an art event that we've put on in years past. And then free park performances will increase that as per the Arts and Culture Master Plan, the art crawl experience, and then also the Costa Mesa free at Segerstrom Center campus, which is, we're kind of exploring this still, but a way to maybe subsidize tickets for people to go see shows at Segerstrom. So, and then also we'll ask for the utility box funds to keep applying those vinyl wraps to our utility boxes in Costa Mesa. And that's 12.5. And then, as I mentioned, the 60,000 for the sculpture garden. So that's the first page of that Arts and Culture Master Plan. Second page, we will ask for the Artist Laureate next year. Also stipends for the commission. And I'd like to increase our arts grants to 15,000. So these are all just asks, and as Jason mentioned, we will go through the budget process and kind of ask for these things to be approved for next year. And we may get some, we may not get them all. So just a little bit of knowledge for all of you. And then, and just a couple of things to mention. Those 2 9,000 payments were one-time fees for our consultant for the public art policy. So, and that's pretty much it. I also just wanted to kind of mention that this is a guide for us. It's, things may change as we move forward and we can change things, but this is a nice structure for us to start with as we're kind of beginning this process of bringing more arts and culture to the city of Costa Mesa.
And if I can follow up with that, this isn't necessarily, permanent, like we are limited to this for the rest of the, the 5 years of the Arts and Culture Master Plan. We will be looking for other funding opportunities. We will be looking to incorporate public art projects, whether it be through residential developments or private developments, or, we've talked about art here around the Civic Center Plaza or at some of our park properties. So, this isn't the end game. This is, kind of a stepping stone. And, as we continue to build on, what was approved here in the Culture Arts Master Plan, I think there's going to be plenty of opportunities for the commission to weigh in and make recommendations for things that they would like to see. One of the capital projects that's already been approved, and we do have some potential grant funding coming from the state. For those of you that have heard about the $10 million we got that we're getting from Senator Min, additional money from Supervisor Foley with Orange County, and then from Assemblywoman Petrie Norris. Those funding sources are also going towards different projects, one of which is hopefully to improve the amphitheater that's at T. Winkle Park. So if you've been to the amphitheater, it's relatively small. It's not necessarily something I would think we would do performances at yet, but there is talk of or conceptual designs to improve that, increase the seating, make it more ADA accessible, and maybe reconfigure it so that it provides a more usable theater type space, at one of our parks. So that is a potential capital project that we're already looking at, that's already been discussed with Public Works. Not quite in the, plan, design, community input phase yet, but it is something that's been discussed and will probably come up over the next few months with those discussions about the grant money. So that kind of is a summary of what's in the Culture Arts Master Plan. This was approved, it was approved a year and a half ago. It was published prior to that, probably a year before that. These numbers do change, they vary, and of course, with the direction of the commission or the recommendations made by the commission, we might be able to repurpose some of that money if there's a different priority for 2023, 24, or 22 or 25 or in the future. So that about sums it up. If you have any questions, we're here to do the best we can to answer.
All right.
I have a question.
Yes, please, Commissioner.
With the passage of Prop 28 last month, at last month's election, will that have an impact on our budget with regards to funds allocated to the Smart Camp? And it might be too soon to know, but
I don't have answers to that yet. That's something that we can look into and report back to you at a future meeting.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yes. I would love to know a little bit more about, it was item 4.3. It was the affordable artist housing.
That's something we're kind of looking at down the road. We don't really have anything planned as of yet. It's just something that was in the master plan that, potentially we'd love to explore. But that's a, long-term question. So
Yeah.
keep it on the radar.
Okay, will do.
We are hoping that some of these things, we have other opportunities, whether property comes available or, who knows what. Obviously, housing is a big issue throughout. For those of you who've been watching the Measure K race, it's, taken kind of a dramatic turn in the last few days. So continue to watch that until the election is certified. But some of these are really grand, projects, trying to have our own art space, whether it be a black box or for displays or for, I came from an organization that had its own museum and was able to do, temporary art displays. We've had conversations about that, things that we can use to host Art Venture, or who knows what in the future. But some of that is going to be based on property being available, or a variety of other factors. So trying to keep our ears to the ground, looking for grant opportunities that can help support programming, and not just singular programming, but a wide variety of programming.
Any other comments? Lorette or Ashley, just to confirm, the Smart Camp has been removed from us, but it will continue. Is that correct? Through Parks and Rec and the school district?
Yes.
Okay.
We just thought it made more sense to go back into the Parks and Community
All right.
Services. Yep.
Thank you.
Hi, I have a question about the, where to go? The art crawl. So I know that it looks like that there's a budget, I guess, okay, that's going in for next year. So when would we start discussing that, and the location you guys have planned for that? I heard last time you guys were talking about shuttling people from it, which is kind of funny because then it's not really a crawl if it's a shuttle, but it's, it's like, didn't they used to have one in the kind of Sobeka area? Something similar to that, I heard, and I was wondering if the plan is to move that, or if there's other ideas as far as having it be, an outdoor thing or an open thing, or is it an indoor thing, like go to this gallery and this gallery and this gallery, and I just wasn't sure what it was.
Yeah, I'll go over that a little bit in my report, this monthly report. But yeah, we're changing the concept a little bit. So it'll be this year, and I'll talk more about it. We'll have studio visits to artists in Costa Mesa. Yeah.
Great.
And just for a point of clarification, when we look at the budget, I've provided basically copies of what was published, and the line items, it's all bulked into salaries and benefits, and that's not necessarily exactly accurate. The number, the 220,898 number, is correct, but that might be split between the two different line items. Not all of it is salaries. As much as Lorette would like to make that much money, it's not necessarily all for her. It's the other projects and programs that she mentioned for this fiscal year.
All right, if there are no other comments, I'd like to thank the commission, especially Commissioner Zuckerman, for bringing this forward, and staff responding to that. And I see a hand. Do we have public comment on this?
I do have some members on Zoom. Let me ask them.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other members of the public on Zoom who wish to speak? Please raise your hand or press *6 to unmute. Chair, there are no. To confirm, there are no other members on Zoom who wish to speak.
Thank you very much. Then at this time, we will receive the report and move on to the next item. And that would be the approval of the Utility Art Box Program, the applications.
Before we move to the next one, we do need a motion to move past this.
To receive and file?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. I apologize. Is there a motion? All right. We have a motion on the floor to receive and file the report. Call for the question.
Thank you. You may now proceed. Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you very much. All right. Moving on to the approval of the utility art box program applications. Ms. Garner?
Yeah, I can just make a few comments before. I hope you all had a chance to look at those and just kind of give you some more detail for the program. So those are 6 new utility boxes. Those will be vinyl wraps, and we do have budget for those. The artists did choose their own locations, which we saw no issues. I saw no issue with those choices. And then all the boxes have been approved for wraps by city. We've cleared that they're okay to be wrapped. And moving forward, we're looking at what I'm trying to do is have a 6-month application period and then a 6-month execution of vinyl wrap kind of period that goes on. So we kind of split it up a little bit for ease of administration. And moving forward, this will come to the Arts Commission in the future, but we are exploring the idea of having painted boxes as well to kind of add in a more interactive experience with artists in the community. So I'll bring that, we're still doing a lot of research and see if we can actually do that, and then I'll bring that forward in the future. But yeah, and also along with that, I will also be bringing a utility box handbook back for a look for all of you to take a look at for any changes and edits.
Any comments on the boxes, or I see some mics on? Yes, no?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So could you just give us a little bit of background on how the artists were selected? And could you also give some information as to why there is one artist who has 2 boxes?
Yeah, so it's an open application process, so artists can just apply for it and submit their artwork at this point. And the reason there's 2 is he just submitted 2 and we have the funds, and I'm limiting it to 2 per year per artist. But it's just going to be based basically on if we have the money to do it. And sometimes, we're looking for artists and we have a certain amount of money and we're trying to cover, a certain amount of boxes. So if I don't have applications, then I don't mind taking 2 from one artist.
Okay, sorry. So just a follow-up question to that. So is the current situation that anyone who applies is given a box, or is there a jury system, and are you making the choices just individually?
As of now, anyone in Orange County can apply. So it is limited by county, but we are not doing any, these are basically all the ones that have applied. So I haven't done any filtering. I've brought it here to the Arts Commission to do that.
Okay, thank you.
If you want more history, or if you feel unprepared please ask questions of staff. Lorette's kind of just taken over the program. Ashley is our resident expert on the utility box program. So, we do have some history of some of the boxes and the processes. There is, as Lorette mentioned, a look to maybe change the program a bit, bring kind of the review, the policy back to the commission. She's mentioned the not just be vinyl wraps, but do actually painted boxes. So that is something that we want to be interactive with the commission. We're not inundated with requests. We do try to publicize. I know our the formerly Parks Arts and Community Services Commission had asked for, how do we make sure the public that artists have this information? How do they get their artwork out there? If we get to a point where we're running out of boxes or we have too many applications, there may be a screening process that was created, but that would be part of the policy that would be approved by the commission. But please don't hesitate to ask. You're not being intrusive. If you want questions about the process, I know that the former Arts Committee did scrutinize some of the art that was submitted. They would have some dialogue about it. And that's, as a commission, the 6 of you will have to decide at what point do we determine art is worthy or not worthy, which is kind of a slippery slope. And so a lot of the information that we're going to bring forward, including the utility box policy, but also a public art policy that's going to be really big, and we're hoping to bring to the commission in February, a look at a draft of what that's going to be, because that's really going to set the table for a lot of different elements of how art is displayed and acquired and all that here in the city. So the more information you can get now for that, I think will help you as commissioners and you as a total commission provide guidance to staff and to the council in your recommendations for how these things will be carried out. So please don't hesitate. Ask questions if you have them. Now is a great time because there's not a lot on the agenda. We have 6 different art boxes, so go for it. Fire away. You're up, Ashley.
Yes.
Okay. So yes, I was wondering. It looks like most of these artists are living in Costa Mesa, and I love that. I think that that's great, and I think that's the more people that see that or know that, we're going to be more recognized for obviously our particular artists. And I'm not saying that I would shun other people from some other places, but I would like to give more credence to people who are in this city, who live here, who do this artwork. I love what you guys picked. I think it's fantastic. I really loved Ronald Chee's stuff. I didn't know who he was until I saw this. I'm a big fan. I am concerned though about painting directly in the boxes, only for graffiti purposes and whatnot. I've had many murals painted on the sides of walls and stuff, and they get graffitied, and then it has. And I don't know how easy is the vinyl really easy to clean up. Is that why there's? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I figured. So I hate seeing stuff like this defamed and and having to be redone by the artist. And I know sometimes it takes a lot longer to get an artist to come out and redo their work if it's actually hand painted as opposed to being something vinyl and easy to take care of. That was all I had.
Yes.
So I have another comment. So I think this is a great program, and I would love to see it. I would love to get to the point where we have a process of screening. And so I'm curious about the ways that people have known that there's this opportunity. I think that in general, there's like a lack of opportunity for artists to be able to show their work. And so the fact that we have these boxes and they're empty, for me, is an indication that we could do a better job of spreading the word. And so I would just like to kind of go on record to say that I'd love to set a goal of, having all of the boxes completed and to have it be a competitive process. So I'd be happy to talk through at a separate time, what the vehicle for communicating is. And hopefully artists are maybe tuning into this Arts Commission meeting and knowing that maybe we could hear from staff exactly what the application process is. Maybe we could put up a link that people could click on. And again, I'd love to see this as a very active space for the presentation of art, because it then generates a dynamic program. And when we do start commissioning sculptures, we want to be able to draw from the broadest possible pool. So I would use this as a test case for that.
And if I might add, staff can helpfully share, there's a lifespan. These is temporary art projects. So we are doing boxes multiple times before we get to others. Some have more favorable locations, some have less. Some get taken out by cars. And, it's unfortunate when that happens. There was one box, it was a Bonnie Matthews box right across from the school district at Baker and Bear. And I had literally just seen it. We had a conversation about it. It was part of the district meeting that I was at, and I think just a couple weeks later, I drove by and it was gone. And I checked with Loretta, like, where'd the wrap go? It had gotten hit by a car. They had to take out, the box was damaged. They put in a temporary box that clearly didn't have the art on it. So it's sad when they go away unexpectedly. But if staff have anything to add on kind of the lifespan, I know they're not permanent forever. Maybe that'll change in the guidelines with painted boxes versus wraps, but I'll turn it over to them.
Yeah, Ms. Thomas, perhaps you can answer a couple of her questions.
Absolutely. So just to give a little bit of history from the Culture Arts Committee, they too would love every box wrapped. Every box was fundraised through the Culture Arts Committee. So obviously the vendor and the wrap and then the cost that came along with that. So they only had the capacity to install between like 8 to 10 a year. And therefore, this is why it's been a phased project, right? Yes, we have some funding now. However, our funding only covers about, 12-ish boxes right there. And then we're at the point now where there's, I think we're on 6, 7 years. Oh, gosh, it's been a while now. So there's boxes that now need to be replaced. So not only are we adding boxes, but now the maintenance phase is here where we need to replace them. Depending on the box, we're noticing them lasting between like 3 years to like 5 years. And then you can see them starting to fade a little bit. The condition becomes a little poor. So we're really starting to pay attention to those boxes that need some maintenance. And I know Laura is being really mindful of that as well. And so that's the main reason why all the boxes aren't wrapped, is just funding sources. So, and that still will be a hurdle that we'll need to continue to work through, as we have some funding, but not enough to wrap every box. So
I
that's
just have a quick question.
Yes.
Then how many total boxes are there within the city?
In total, like in the city, or how many are wrapped?
How many total that we want to have wrapped, even the ones that are currently wrapped?
Sure, I believe there's over 120.
120, and then again, you're stating we're only doing about 8 to 10 a year.
Right, and then we're replacing some, so I think we're like right in the 40 range at this point.
We're at 40.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
40 of the 100.
Right.
Okay.
And all that
So-
information is plotted on the city's website. So you can go and find all of the boxes that are done, completed, and left to do. And also, Ms. Thomas, if you would address the issue about call for artists that we've used and utilized in the past for the boxes.
Sure, absolutely. Yes, we have done multiple call for artists. I know one thing that's on the docket for Lorette is to really start working with the schools as well, to get some school-aged children and youth to, like, a couple artists to utilize their artistic skills to create some more boxes too. So I know we'll plan to work through that. As far as future call to artists, that's another reason why Laura and I have been talking about doing 6-month increments, and so we could really ramp up the advertising and the marketing for this program and do it reasonably with staff's bandwidths right now. So, and then in addition to for the paint and then graffiti. I know that's one thing that was addressed by Commissioner Mann. There's definitely, we've talked to multiple cities, there's definitely ways to work around that. There's lots of sealants for graffiti, and you basically put a little spray on there, a little scrub, and majority of the time it comes right off. So there's definitely multiple solutions that we could work through and trial. But a lot of it will be trial and error until we see what works and what doesn't work. So more on that to come.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Commissioner Zuckerman?
Yeah, I have one more thing. Instagram, do we have an Arts Commission Instagram yet?
We do not. Right now, we're working through the city, Instagram, Facebook, and all their social media, as well as our departments.
Yeah. Would it be appropriate to have an Arts Commission Instagram? Because that would probably be the single best way to publicize this for artists.
Yeah, that's something we could talk about with staff and get back to the commission.
For sure.
Thank you.
I have one question. In regards to that, I was thinking about this when we were talking earlier, about having like an arts page, like just a web page. I know you're saying we're through the city, but is there like some place where there's like, I can go on the city's website and find out all the theatrical information in the city, or all the galleries that are open in the city and what they're having, and all the musicals, or like the orchestra and symphonies, and you know what I mean? Just like a place where everything would be in our city. That would be, I mean, that sounds like massive actually when I think about it, like somebody doing that and then maintaining it and people putting up whatever is going on in the city. But there's that. And then in regards to her saying future artists, with the boxes, isn't there I know there's some kind of contest that they do with the kids in the school district every year, and I had a friend who did this amazing sculpture, and when she was in like the 6th grade, and she was like 2 hands together, and it's made out of all this recycled art, and it was really awesome, and she got picked to go to the next level, and I don't know how it goes out of the county, out of the city, out of where, but that's stuff that I would love to see, like you were saying, for our future artists to, I don't know where if that would become something different than the sculpture that she made, or where we would put it, but I know that brings out a lot of the artists in our city schools, and to do that for contests. And I know for me, seeing when you guys asked for an Arts Commission people, you know, and you said applications are available. I don't know how I saw that. Like, it's really weird that I saw that because I'm usually not online or looking at stuff. And I saw that and I was like, oh, I want to do that. And I got online and did that. And I've had other people go, how did you do that? How did you get on there? And I'm like, I just applied. It was online. But it's, you know, it's really weird. I guess finding all the information is not as easy as we'd like it to be. So that's.
Absolutely.
If I could make a comment, the city is in the process of updating its website. Since Lorette got here, she's really tried to focus on arts specific page. And if you know anything about websites and web management, you never have enough time and you never have enough bodies to be able to do it. So, you know, we've talked about a variety of different things, you know, things that either volunteers can assist with in terms of gathering that information, you know, so there will be opportunities to help engage the community. You know, we in the government think we're really good at publicity, but, you know, I think the private sector has shown they're way better at publicity, but sometimes it's just about, you know, hours and manpower. I think a revitalized website is going to help as we continue to build kind of the arts page, which I know Loretta is working on. And again, that's one of the benefits of having an arts commission now. Please share your feedback and we will do with it what we can. You know, our goal is to try to grow the arts. I think you are, you know, 6 people that have connections, have, you know, contacts that can help us grow the arts program in our city. And hopefully we're sharing all this information and we can have, you know, crowds of people or people that actually want to show up and make public comments about things that are above and beyond what's on the agenda. That's, I think, how we're really going to engage the community. So bring your, you know, keep bringing your comments. I think the last thing I always like pointing this out because this utility box art program is not without controversy. There was at least one box, if not more, that did get scrutinized by some members of the neighborhood. So just remember when you're looking at this, you could be a body that, you know, somebody comes to complain to, like, why did you approve, you know, why did you approve that one? So, you know, it gets a little fun at sometimes. I don't see any controversial ones in here, but you know, you never know what's going to be brought forward in terms of art. And that whole public art policy is, like I said, really going to set the framework. So with that, I think, you know, moving ahead, we can take these one at a time. That's how we set up tonight's meeting. So you had a chance to maybe rehearse this, you know, motion, second, approve process. In the future, we can do it as more of a consent calendar type of a format where each box is discussed kind of all at once, and then you know, move to approve all 6 boxes. You can approve box 1, 3, 5, but not 2, 4, 6. So there's a lot of different ways we can do it, but as we didn't have a lot on the agenda, you know, we kind of set it up as the 1 through 6. Up to the chair. If the chair wants to approve them all in one motion, that is completely up to you. So you can do that as well. And that's it for me. If you have any questions.
Any other comments at this point? All right.
I have
I'm
one.
sorry. Yeah.
I believe what you were speaking about, Commissioner Mann, is the Congressional Art Competition. It's done on an annual basis through the district office of the local Congress member. Yes. And then I wanted to make one recommendation in addition to reaching out to the local public schools. I don't know if there was a call to artists done for the community college here, but they have a number of extensive arts programs there that they might want to submit. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there members of the public who would like to address the commission at this time?
Are there any other members of the public on Zoom who wish to speak? Please raise your hand. Attendee Alicia Long, you are able to speak.
Yes, hello. I have a question regarding the art crawl and when the next one is going to be scheduled.
Ms. Garner?
Yes, so we are thinking March of this next year. It will be the first one. So, and I'll go into detail in a few minutes.
Yeah, we're looking for questions related to the utility box art program at this time, but that will be discussed with the art specialist report at the end of the meeting.
I apologize. I was having problems with my audio.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Are there any other members of the public on Zoom who wish to speak? Please raise your hand or press *6 to unmute. Chair, there are no other members who wish to speak.
Thank you very much. Then we'll close public comment. And then at this point, If there are no objections, I'd like to approve the recommendation of the utility art boxes 1 through 6. Is there a second?
I'd actually like to vote on them individually.
All right. Would you like to begin a motion with that?
I'd like to make
Okay.
a motion that we vote on each of the boxes individually.
Okay, excuse me, Madam Chair. You don't need a motion to vote on them individually. You can just vote on them individually. We're set up for that.
Oh, okay,
So if someone wants to make a motion for the first one,
perfect.
So this current item is for artist Ronald Chi, box number 70. And the motion would be for this box.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this box.
Go ahead and make that first motion on your dais, please.
Okay. Do I need to re-say that?
No, and
Okay.
I second that. All right, any discussion? Then it's been moved and seconded. Call for the question?
So I'd like to make a motion on this.
No,
Oh,
we're voting on this, on the first one.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, thank you.
So I just have a question. Is there not discussion? Do you not call for discussion after there's a motion and a second?
The chair did ask if the
Yes.
maker of the motion wanted to make comments, but typically there would be, yes. Did you want to make comments on that item?
I'll make comments on the next item.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, doing them individually is a little bit more time consuming, but it's definitely, an appropriate way to go through it, especially if, a single box kind of sticks out to a commissioner. Sometimes the artists may want to show up, they want to speak on behalf of their art. There are a lot of different ways that this can go. We did a public comment, assuming that it was going to be, I think, all of them voted at once, and then kind of a last-minute adjustment. So it's up to
That's fine.
the discretion of the chair. Do we want to re-discuss item 1 or box 1?
Well, I'd actually like to make a motion that we deny the second application by the artist. So my motion for this one would be that we deny box 80. Oh, I'm sorry.
So did we got a 6-0 vote on the first box option, correct?
That's correct.
And then am I assuming that your concern would be not having 2 by the same artist at the same meeting?
Correct.
So either one of them to be denied, not based on this specific work?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to have a discussion on the first one. But
Understood.
So I think, Chair, to open the discussion for box 2, see if there are any comments on box 2, then you can ask for the motion in the second discussion. If we're doing it this way, we should probably ask for public comment for each box separate before making the motion too.
All right, then we're moving on to box 2.
We currently have a motion on the table. We have a first. Does anyone want to second the motion? And you could repeat the motion if needed.
The motion on the floor is to deny this second request.
Is there a second?
you may second for discussion if you'd like.
And for those of you not quite familiar with this process, you can stop it and you can ask for questions. Once it is motion and a motion is made, and once it is seconded, as the clerk mentioned, it's for discussion. Once the discussion closes, you can vote on it. You can vote yes or you can vote no. Very rarely will the maker of the motion vote no on something that they made the motion on, but as Ms. Green said, you can second it for discussion purposes and then still vote no or abstain.
Yes, I have a question. When is the next round of open an open call for the utility boxes.
So I'm not on like a regular schedule yet. I'm kind of baby stepping there, but we have a few sponsorship boxes that will come probably in the next few months that they're working on. Like we have OC Fairgrounds that's working on a sponsorship box, and Orange Coast College as well. So we have a few in the docket for that, and they're kind of submitting designs. So we'll have probably more utility boxes brought in the next, I would say February, March, just depending on the schedule, the next schedule, of how full it is. Yeah.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Zuckerman and a second by Commissioner Wondercheck. Is there discussion?
My second was for a discussion. I like his box, like box number 2. So I guess my question is this, Commissioner Zuckerman, was there a particular box that you felt should maybe not go to the next level of being printed? Should we go straight to that box, or is there anyone in particular that stood out to you?
So for me, it's like it's more of like a conceptual, procedural precedent setting, and I feel like we have limited resources, and so for parity, I would prefer not to give 2 boxes to one artist, and I would rather keep that box and those funds for, a future process. So I don't have an issue with either of the artworks, and we could, so my preference would have been to have the discussion before we voted on either of them, because if people prefer one for aesthetic reasons over the other, I like both of them. It's not for aesthetics, it's more for precedent. And so, again, I personally feel strongly with limited resources that we should have a broader use of those resources rather than like double allocating for a single artist. So that's what my objection is, not about the artist or the artwork.
Thank you. Are there any other comments at this time before? Yes.
I like the fact that you guys limit it right now to 2. And so I'm actually okay with that being like 2 boxes right now. And I think this guy is a great artist. I really like his work on both boxes. But I think, so is this limited on 2 for each time you go around, or is it limited to 2 for all the boxes? That's my question.
I was just kind of approaching it on an annual basis.
Okay.
And based on demand. So if we had, 20 applications and we could only do 10 and there were, then I wouldn't take 2 from the same artist.
Yeah.
Yes, but if, in this case, just because we do have the funds, I'm fine to do 2, and I did limit it to 2 just for that same reason that Commissioner Zuckerman is stating. I don't want to give, too many to one artist.
You probably didn't get as many pieces of art as you thought you would, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Currently, I mean, this may change, but
Yes,
this year, and me being new and kind of changing some things and then influx of things, I was fine with that as of now. Yeah.
So there's a couple options. We can have the commission go back and change the vote or bring it back, the first one, if there's a difference between box 1 or box 2 from that artist. That is an option that you can choose to bring back. If not, and you want to move forward with just this box 2, that's fine as well.
And at this time, we do need to open it up to public comment.
Are there any other members of the public on Zoom who wish to speak? Please raise your hand or press *6 to unmute. Chair, there are no other members.
Thank
who
you
wish
very
to
much.
speak.
Then we will close the public comment at this time. And the question then is how we move forward with this.
So we have a motion to deny box
Exactly.
number
We
2.
have the motion on the floor.
We have a second. There's been discussion. If
And
the
so-
commission is ready to vote,
And so we would call for the question. And that would be to deny the second box for Ronald Chi?
So if I vote no, I'm voting no, keep Ronald Chi.
Yes. So the motion doesn't pass, which would mean we would need another motion.
Motion fails 2-4 to deny box 80.
Okay, now we need another motion to approve the second box. Is that correct? I'm going down that path.
I'm looking over at our city clerk's direction just to make sure that we're doing this correctly. Ms. Green, we're good?
Yes, Madam Chair, you are doing it correctly.
All right.
That first motion failed, so find something in this system. The next one we'll have to do verbally because we didn't have that set up in the system. And so if you can, if someone would like to verbally make a motion to approve that box, that would be great, and then verbally make a second.
I would like to approve the second box, have it approved for Ronald Chi.
And I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion on that?
I think for clarity, because there's box numbers, we'll just reference the box
Number 2.
So box number 70 was approved. Box number 80 is the box we're working on now from Ronald Chi.
Correct. All right, then any discussion on that? All right, then
But we'll do a voice call vote, please.
all right. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
I think, don't we need to read vote by vote?
Yeah, we'll read your names,
Oh,
please.
sorry about that.
The days of aye and nay are behind us.
Commissioner Lucia,
So I'm not supposed to say aye?
You can say yes or no, but it's individually, not as a group. Sorry.
Yes.
Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner Ochoa,
Yes.
Commissioner Zuckerman? No. Vice Chair Wondercheck?
Yes.
Chair Ashendorf?
Yes.
The motion carries 5-1.
All right. And we move on, and you can clear the queue then? Am I correct? Perfect. All right, then. We'll move on to box number 99 by artist Tony Taylor. I'd like to make a motion to approve that box. Is there a second?
I'll second your motion.
We have a second by Commissioner Ochoa. Is there any discussion? All right, open to public comment.
Nobody has their hand raised.
Are there any other members on Zoom who would wish to speak? Please raise your hand. Chair, there are no members.
Thank you. We'll close public comment and call for the question.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, thank you very much. The next utility box on the agenda is number 10 by artist Anna Caldwell. Is there a motion? A motion by Commissioner Wondercheck. And a second by Commissioner Mann. Any comments? All right, seeing none. Any public comments?
No public comments.
Thank you very much. We'll close public comment and call for the question.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you very much. The next utility box on the agenda is number 122 by artist Karen Gallo. Do I have a motion to approve that box?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I see. A second?
Yeah.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none, any comments by the public?
No public comments.
Thank you. We'll close public comment and call for the question. There we go.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right. And the last utility box is number 121 by artist Michael Ward. Is there a motion? I'd like to motion. There we go. I make a motion. Is there a second?
Yes.
Thank you. I see it. Any comments? I just have one comment. It's really exciting to see Kona Lane's coming back to its old location. That'll be fun. It's a part of history to see that one revisited. All right. Any comments by the public?
No public comment.
Thank you so much. We'll close public comments and call for the question.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right. Thank you very much. And to Ms. Garner and Ms. Thomas, thank you very much for helping us through the utility box process. Really appreciate that. And the final agenda item is are the monthly reports. Ms. Garner?
Thank you, Chair Ashendorf. Yes, so I have some updates on programming and projects for arts and culture. The first item is arts grants. I recently created some new arts grants guidelines and an agreement, and this has been looked over by our legal team, so this will be presented to the Arts Commission probably the next couple months. The Arts Directory, I have no new news on that. The Art Venture, we are looking at venues and we're trying to make that event a little bit longer so we have some more leeway with art pickup and drop off and more time for people to view art. We're looking at a couple different places. We're OC Fairgrounds. We are even thinking of hosting at the Norma Herzog Community Center, which is a facility that we have. So looking at a couple options, but nothing definitive at this point. So I'll keep you all updated as we go along with Art Venture. Exhibit spaces, I won't read all that for you, but we are looking at a lobby renovation as part of a CIP project, which you all know what that means now, so it's great. And so some of those spaces in our facilities may be changing, and we're looking to kind of upgrade them a little bit, so more on those. And the exhibit space at the Senior Center, we did have Bonnie Matthews, but she moved recently to the East Coast, so we'll have a new artist there beginning January. Her name is Marion Vale. And public art and utility art box program. Currently, we have two newish boxes that are up on Fair Drive, Zach Beckemeyer and Bonnie Matthews. Those are city commission boxes, so those are up and you can take a look at those. They're really fun. We have the Adobe on one and then some really fun animals that are illustrated. It's right on the corner there of Newport Boulevard and Fair. So, and then the art crawl experience. So for the art crawl experience, we're looking at kind of a new concept. I actually have a meeting tomorrow with a couple artists. We'll kind of get some more details out there. We are thinking because there isn't, necessarily a walkable space like a downtown area, we were thinking of having a shuttle to kind of move people to different art locations. And my thought for this first one was to do artist studio visits in March and kind of honor Women's History Month with two Costa Mesa artists who have studio spaces and who are women. So we're looking into that. I have two so far. I would maybe potentially like to do about 3 stops where people would go to the studio, take a tour, either have a panel discussion with a few artists or do an activity depending on the type of artists that selected to do that. And so we are thinking we'll probably keep it small, the first one, maybe about 20 to 30 people, just depending on the size of the locations. And then moving forward, I'd love to theme these all differently, maybe do 2 or 3 a year and do like a performing arts emphasis, and how, maybe looking at, not typically just like an art walk where you're going to galleries. I really want to kind of look at the back end spaces of the arts, how things work, maybe go look at a theater from, what it's like to put on a production, and kind of have an arts education component to that. So that's really what I'm thinking for the art crawls, and, open for discussion. This is a new concept, so I think it'll be really fun. It'll be great to see the first one and see how it goes. And then we can go from there and kind of come up with maybe some new ideas how that might work. So I'm excited to kind of explore this, but it will be kind of a shuttle is what we're thinking, like moving people about Costa Mesa in a shuttle experience, but doing different activities at each spot. And then the last thing on there is we have the free park performances. We're going to be working with Pacific Symphony to be hosting 2 performances. And I changed that. We just had some dates kind of discussed. We're probably thinking one at the end of May and one mid-June in different facilities, city facilities. So we're looking at the Senior Center and then Balearic Community Center. So to host those. Those would be free to the public. And Pacific Symphony has a Symphony on the Go program. They bring their own stage, and so that should be really fun. And that's it. That's all I've got for my monthly report. If there's any questions, happy to answer.
Any questions on the Ms. Garner's report?
I do have a question regarding the art crawl in March that coincides with Women's History Month. How are the artists selected? Is it from the arts pool that's on the city's website, or?
For this one, it's just artists that I've talked to who I know have spaces since I'm so new. So it's really just going to be curated by staff, this one. And, moving forward, it could be something that we open it up and have thought of that, like we open up kind of a call, like those who want to share, their spaces. But I also want to be really intentional with this program too, and make sure we're kind of hitting some marks with arts education and, doing something a little bit different. Yeah.
Commissioner Zuckerman?
I have one question and one comment. I love seeing images. So when you are sharing with us about what you're putting in the exhibition spaces, I think it would be great to show images of the artist's work. So when you talked about the woman whose work is going into the senior center, it would be a great opportunity to show it to the commission images, and then anyone who's tuning into the commission meetings would also get an access to those images. And so that's an additional benefit for the artist to have their work seen, in a broader way. And then I haven't had my Brown training yet, so if this is like not allowed and I do something wrong, definitely let me know. I did the other one. But for the art crawl experience, the Orange County Museum of Art has an exhibition called 13 Women, and we would be happy, of course, to host the art crawl. And if you were interested in a back of house tour, we could show people how art comes into the museum and how exhibitions are mounted or something like that. So again, I have no idea if that's like a conflict. I remove it, but I just offer that if it's appropriate. So thank you.
Seeing no objection by the city clerk, I think your comments were fine.
We'll talk.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Ms. Garner? I would like to ask you. I can't see into your mind there, Ms. Garner, but I can see into the mind of Councilmember Reynolds when it comes to the art crawl, and I know she's going to say, can we have a bicycle component in this, okay? If you're watching Councilmember Reynolds, I'm just putting that out there. So, but keep that in mind for future. That might be kind of fun. We could ride our e-bikes through town. So, but this is really exciting. We look forward to a timetable where we can start planning these things and looking forward to them and promoting them, and also working with staff, like Commissioner Zuckerman stated, so that we can help, roll this out together.
Also, I have with the art crawl in the future, I know we're probably going to talk about this later. Like this one is already set, basically, is what you're telling us. So if we have any questions or comments in regards to future ones, that would be good to bring up later, correct? And not
Yeah, I
messy.
mean, I'm honestly, this will be kind of a rolling basis, so I'm happy to take ideas whenever you have them, and I'm noting
Yeah.
them, and so, you know, when we're planning things in the future, it's great to hear them, because then I can kind of connect to what I've heard, and then how we can kind of improve on them, or, you know, try a new theme out. So,
Yeah, because it would be cool to have, like you were talking about each area, but maybe each area is very broad and has 1 or 2 or 3 locations in that area that somebody could hang out with and then get shuttled to another one. And maybe it's more of a, and instead of a day, you know, 1 day thing, it's like it lasts for like a week. And you could, you know, and that's probably very big and expensive. You know.
I appreciate the thought, though. I'm listening.
I believe that Lorette was planning to have individual meetings with each commissioner, and whether those happen regularly or, you know, periodically, you know, shoot her an email and just say, hey, you know, can we talk about that? And, you know, it doesn't have to be a 2-hour meeting. It can be 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You know, we want the feedback, whether it happens immediately or not, you know, a slight variant to what she was already talking about. We do value input. You know, because a lot of this stuff is going to be new. So please don't hesitate. It does not have to be in this official format. You can talk to staff. We're not Brown Act, you know, like you can talk to us whenever you want. Maybe there'll be a point where we cut it off and just say, I need to do my work. But yes, you know, we encourage dialogue between commissioners. And if we're coming into a commission meeting, and Commissioner Zuckerman, like if you had questions about an artist and you want to shoot us a note prior to, and just say, hey, I was thinking about doing this for tonight's meeting, not to any other commissioners, not to the chair, just to either Lorette or myself. We can help guide you through that process so that we don't, you know, take away your opportunity to put your voice on the record prior to something being approved. So I'm sorry for that. But, you know, I think your point was well made. So yeah, if you have things like that that might be a little bit different, please reach out. You know I talked to one commissioner before tonight's meeting. You know, that's one of the things that I have on my calendar to make sure there's time to speak to commissioners in the lead up to meetings, just in case there's questions. And again, we'll talk about the potential conflicts Brown Act wise, you know, as they come up. But sometimes it's better to ask to be safe. And even if I don't know, I have no problem reaching out to our city attorney or our city clerk because they're expert guidance. So, but thank you for that.
I'm sorry, one more question.
Please.
Are we able to discuss, like, yes, that's so cool to put the Orange County Museum of Art, like, into that with the fact that it is the all-women's thing? Or is that, like, right now, like, this is where we would discuss that, though, openly, right?
Yes, it's not an action item of the commission to approve. If there was a case where the city was paying for something that would benefit the Orange County Museum of Art, and it was an action item, then that particular commissioner would have to recuse herself or himself in the future and not be a part of that full discussion. They leave the room, we have the conversation, and then we invite them back after that particular one. So in the example of utility boxes, if we were reviewing someone and you knew them, or it was your son, your daughter, your aunt, your uncle, you can recuse yourself from that particular discussion and then, you know, come back. But there are some things like that, yes, please reach out to staff prior to if you know of the potential conflicts of interest that we talked about at the last meeting. But you can talk about art crawls and you can talk about how wonderful ACMA is. I definitely don't want to keep you from being able to do that. That's not what that intention is.
Thank you for that question. And before we move on from this item, I do want to make sure, Ms. Garner, that as often as possible as we look forward to all of these opportunities for the community events, that they are open to all ages and accessible. I mean, there will be some that will be targeted more for youth or for adults, but for the wide, whether it's senior, citizen, or any other group, make sure that it's open and inclusive. Great. And do we have to have public comment on this? Thank you very much. Open to public comment.
Did our public commenter from earlier stay on the call?
All right. But, 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 but the previous comment was noted by staff. All right, fine. Then we will.
On the record that.
Zoom attendee Alicia Long, you may speak.
Yes, hi. I wanted to find out what kind of resources are available for artists wanting to form shared studio collectives?
Is that your only question?
Is that your comment? Is that correct?
Yes, by Ms. Garner, I just wanted to find out if there was, she had
Okay.
talked about studios and that was my question.
Thank you very much.
So we have that in the Arts and Culture Master Plan as something that we're thinking about, but we don't have any kind of timeline for that at this moment. But it is on, it's in our plan, so it's on our radar. Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any other comments?
No other public comment.
Thank you very much. Then we'll close public comment. I think it'd be helpful if we had, like in football, different colors, and I could see them up here. Sorry, at any rate. No, at this point, are there additional staff comments?
I will make one. One of the things that our department is starting to focus heavily on is the wonderful Snoopy house. So if you were coming into the parking lot and looked over to the right, you probably saw some of the structures. It's going to be bigger and better than last year, and that year it was better than the drive-through event that Ashley and I got to work on, and even bigger and better than the year before that when there was nothing. Comparing it to previous ones, I wasn't around for, so I'm super excited about it. December 16th is the first day that it's open to the public, so make sure you put that on your calendars. I believe it's running until the 23rd. There will be some performances. We're incorporating those back into the program that we didn't have last year, so it should be a very exciting thing. The snow area will be a little bit bigger. Overall, it will be a fantastic event. So, thank you for this opportunity to start promotion, but we hope that you continue to share that message. There will be publicity that goes out through the city's different social media channels, but we are excited to have a happy holidays this year for the community.
Thank you. Any other staff comments?
I'd like to wish all the commissioners happy holidays and thank you for all your service.
Thank you. Final comments by commissioners?
I do have one more, if I could. I just want to give a big thank you to Kathia. She was kind of thrown in here last minute as an understudy. You may have noticed her at our first meeting, just kind of watching to the side. I don't think at that moment she knew she was going to be kind of running the meeting, but we threw a couple curveballs at her, but she has been doing an awesome job just getting herself ready for it. I do want to thank Brenda, our city clerk, for her assistance in getting her trained, get everything loaded. But thank you, Kathia, for doing an amazing job and just being so calm. She was so calm for her first time, like way too calm. Like I'm jealous calm. But anyway, thank you to both of you for getting all this ready.
All right. If there are no other comments, I too wish, yes, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to go ahead and thank everyone for your time and patience.
Thank you. It's been a good second meeting. I wish everyone a happy holiday. I know City Hall will be closed the last week of December, and so get all of your questions into staff before then. And we will adjourn the meeting to Thursday, February 2nd.
Yes, we are dark in January due to the holiday and the timeline of getting the agenda out.
All right.